Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Give you a quick update on what's been happening in the Caribbean. As many of you know, in February, we began our ARIN in the Caribbean series of events, and we call it the ARIN Caribbean Events, ACE. We started in the country of Grenada and concluded last month with an outreach to Jamaica. In all, we've touched over 400 persons, many of them who would have heard about ARIN for the first time. This series started against the backdrop of a disastrous 2017 hurricane season. And so there was great interest in network resilience and what would need to be in place to avoid some of the mishaps that took place across various private and public sector networks. And so the messaging around the ARIN in the Caribbean events uncovered some of the priorities, some of which were no surprise. They range from network resilience, understanding what does it take and what role ARIN plays in terms of its number resource services, network autonomy. IPv6 adoption was one of the most heavily requested areas of explanation and clarification, network security, and technical capacity building. Now, these priorities came from surveys that we conducted at the end of every one of the outreach programs that we did. And in every case, in every territory that we visited, the set of concerns were the same. And so a lot of what we learned this year is going into the plans for the 2019 series of events. Some of the highlights coming out of what we did in the Caribbean included the fact that this was the first time that we had such a sustained direct outreach to the Caribbean region. And this outreach spanned not just the technical community, we also made a very deliberate attempt to get more deeply involved in internet policy discussions to understand what some of the issues were around policy in the region, and in public safety, understanding the role that we can play in facilitating a new dialogue between law enforcement and public safety officers in the region and their counterparts in North America. The other highlight, I would say, for what happened this year would have been the participation in relevant Caribbean fora. ARIN attended the Canto meeting, which is a major trade organization gathering every year. We played a key part in this year's CARPIF Caribbean Peering Forum, and of course, as always, was very supportive of the CaribNog community, attending their events and providing speakers and support for the outreach to the technical community. Now, all of this took place against the backdrop of the launch of what we're calling the ARIN Caribbean Forum. And this was launched at the ARIN meeting in Miami earlier this year, ARIN 41. The forum aims to cement and put greater structure around our interventions in the region, and also allows for a new point of entry for those in the Caribbean who are trying to understand how the ARIN community works, what we're about, what we're doing, and how they can participate in it. So far, we have been able to provide advice and direction to both government and technical community members who are trying to play their part in adding their voice to the community. And I would have to take a small amount of credit in terms of the impact this outreach has had with the amount of fellows and applications for fellowship that we've been seeing from the Caribbean region. That has been one of the positives that has come out of our outreach. And the third highlight, I would say, is the strengthening of partnerships. ARIN has been very much involved in reaching out, not just to organizations that are based in the Caribbean, like the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, CARPIF, and CaribNog, but we've also strengthened the partnerships with some of the IORGs, ICANN, ISOC, that's the Internet Society, as well as LACNIC, who is also very much interested in seeing what and how these outreach efforts are impacting the development of the community. So that's our highlights for this year. And now we look forward to 2019. And it's going to be more of the same. We really want to continue the outreach. The level of positive feedback that we've gotten from being on the ground and having these direct interventions is something that we plan to continue building upon. In addition, the support for CaribNog and the work that we're doing with the technical community in the region is something that, based on the feedback that we have received, particularly around issues like IPv6 and issues around how do you move from a place and time and season where most of what has been taking place has been managing and building the networks from a place of scarcity, as people understand that they can come directly to ARIN and that they can start to leverage number of resources, not just on the V4 side, but on the V6 side. We recognize that it is imperative that explanations about how to build out V6 networks go beyond the standard slide decks that talk about there is a need to shift. And now people want to figure out, okay, now that we want to shift, what exactly must we do? And so we actually started discussions with some of the universities and community colleges in the region and are looking to see to what extent new partnerships can be forged where trainers can go in and help actually put V6 engineering programs within the university and pre-university level curriculum. And then, of course, the outreach in terms of getting more persons to see the value of participating and lending their voice to this community and this forum. That's one of the big priorities for next year. So what will 2019 look like? The country visits will continue. One of the new things that will be happening next year is a planned State of the Internet Forum, which we're doing in collaboration with the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. And the idea with this forum is to identify some of the global trends in the internet, not just the technical trends, some of the very challenging issues that are coming up regarding cross-jurisdictional concerns, privacy, security, things that have been question marks, not just for systems administrators, but for government officials who are trying to wrestle with the growing impact the internet is having on the economy and on society generally. And our intention is to create this forum that brings some of the hot topics to the fore and then have the region discuss the implications for national and regional policy in an IGF-styled interaction. That's going to take place sometime in March of 2019. The third major activity will be our outreach to the justice sector, and here we're planning training and awareness interventions for both the public bar as well as for the judiciary, who again are grappling with the issues of how all of these matters relate to their function and their continued role. And then finally, growing our footprint among the technical community. CARPIF comes up again in 2019 and will be a big part of that. And the CARIBNOG meetings, we are jointly hosting CARIBNOG 17 with the ARIN 43 meeting in Barbados. And that's what it looks like for 2019. Lots of good stuff happening in the Caribbean, more good stuff to come. There is a real need for the kind of outreach and awareness that we've been doing, and it is having a positive impact on the community's understanding of the role that ARIN is playing and their opportunities to be a part of the community. Thank you. John?
Hold on, Bevel. Hold on. Bevel? Bevel? Hold on. So, are there any questions for Bevel? No?
I was ahead of you. There you go.
Okay, now.